Thank you very much indeed to invite us to this very beautiful campus. And this is a great occasion today that Times Foundation has joined hands with Amity University. And together we are trying to bring together some of the finest minds to enable them to create some difference to at least some 500, 600 people who have assembled here. Before I go on and express my sentiments and feelings and what do I feel about mind, body, soul, and what is the kind of contribution which Times Foundation, which is the CSR wing of the Bennett Coleman and Company, been trying to do both internally and externally. If you look back, say some 7 years back or 8 years back.
Can we have silence? Can we have silence in the hall, please? No movement. Sorry, sir.
If we go back some 7 years back and try and throw our eyes and ears around, we won't really find anything worthwhile being talked about mind, body, soul, or what is the importance of the mental health, how do we really live a happy life, how do we really start our things with the family, go on into the larger realm of the society, then we improve ourselves into the community. From community we go to district, we go to the nation, then we try and translate whatever little we have to a different level altogether. And therefore, we as a group, which is the Bennett Coleman and Company, took a very conscious call about 8 years back to embed the art and science of mind, body, and soul through our various instruments, which are both print, non-print, and now the new media. And we took that conscious call that across all segments of instruments which we have at our disposal within the Times Group, we would like to use them to sensitize people, bring the right kind of people on board to be able to do some value addition to our readers, and also see to it as to how do we really play the role of a catalyst in spreading happiness, making our readers aware about what they need to do in addition to doing their daily routine chores and their duties. We also thought that we would try and take the leadership role in defining how can we really not only produce the content and produce a paper which is 40 pages or 38 pages paper, but how do we really create a leadership through the paper. So about 8 years back, a very conscious call was taken, and we decided to insert, both in Times of India and other group papers, columns like wellness column. And that was the first thought which the Times Group introduced, and that was something about mind, body, and soul. We took another conscious call, and that conscious call was as to how do we really embed spirituality through a section in the TOI, and therefore we started the Speaking Tree. And I'm very sure that many of you sitting here reading TOI will find Speaking Tree and wellness columns appearing 5 days a week. And I can assure you that the kind of response which we have been able to get and the kind of following we have been able to create thereafter has been tremendous. Now everybody follows. Now you can see every magazine, every paper, Hindi, English, Urdu, running things which are in the larger ambit of creating wellness through mind, body, and soul connect. About 2 years back, we took another very conscious call based on the feedback that we got from the readers that we would also go out and use our pin paper, which is the ET and the Economic Times, and introduce 2 more columns there. One is the citing, which is supported by Citibank. Another one is Cosmic Link, which comes in the middle page at the rear end. And we introduced those columns, and those columns have again become very sought after, and every day, we get thousands of mails and queries as to what more could be done by us in order to sensitize people about mind, body, and soul. So what we have been doing is, these are some of the initiatives, and of late we have taken other initiatives where we are coming out with a separate paper on wellness altogether, which is again Mind, Body, Soul Connect. We are also going to introduce another paper which would be Speaking Tree altogether. So what we have been trying to do as a media house, not only to be seen as producing content and reporting on crime and politics and economy, but also seeing to it as to how do we really serve our readers better by giving them certain contents, certain thought-provoking articles, and more importantly, by bringing some of the finest minds conversing at one point and doing their level best to tell people that in the times that we live in, the kind of problems that we face, the kind of congestion we have on the road, every morning many of us start at 8:30 and reach office 10:30. Late night we return home. There is absolutely no time for any one of us to do anything. How do we really therefore try and make mind, body, soul discussion and awareness not only something which is the talk of the town, but something which gets embedded into the very DNA of each one of us? And this is where I look at mind, body, soul, not anything which is disconnected from each other or disconnected with each other, but something which runs parallel to each other. If you look at the mind part of it, mind is something which has its own mysteries. No two minds could be similar anyway. 500 minds could probably produce 500 raised to the power infinity kind of an idea. Body is something which is very visible. This is your chest, this is how you look like, this is how you behave. This is something which people judge you on, and you kind of carry it mechanically day in, day out. So body is something which is very tangible, something which you can feel, you can touch, you can experience somebody's sentiments and come to know about a little bit of how a person looks like, what his personality is, and do you really gel with the person at all, or you don't really. So on the one hand, you have the mind, which is very, very incongruous set of mysteries created, something which can think anything, both available and not available on the earth. So on the one hand, you have the mind, on the other hand, you have the body, intangible, tangible, something which you can see, something which you can't. But the power of the two sides taken together could be very tremendous. And when you look at the soul, soul is something which people would again define by several nomenclature, by several statements, and by several ideas. But soul is something which is a matter of experience. This is something which is the very, very, I call it as software of the entire framework that each one of us have with us and carry it through. So mind, body, soul is something which runs parallelly to each other, and we should not really therefore see any disconnect between or amongst each one of these three very, very important elements which each one of us possesses, but many of us cannot really see it. You must have seen the movie which was shown here, that many people explaining about what mental health is had different ideas. They had different sentiments to express. But ultimately, beneath all this, what lies as the truth is that everybody knows what it is, but many of us don't really ever try to figure out, can we really spare some time to experience what really do we see around ourselves, what do we really feel about it, and can we really try and make everything embedded into our DNA itself. So I think the debate and the discourse along these three themes, which is mind, body, and soul, has become a little more aggressive these days. And this is where we thought at the Times Foundation that we would not only give people something to read, but we would also try and bring some of the leading experts, both from within the country and also from outside. And we have done it. Over the past 1.5 years, we have been able to bring to India some of the finest minds. And one of the finest minds sitting here is Dr. Rick Levy, who happens to be one of the leading persons in the US working in the area of mind, body, soul healing. And I have heard his souls, I have experienced him, he's a personal friend to me. So I can say that today's conversation and the dialogue, I won't really call it a monologue, between all of you at this side and Rick Levy on this side is going to be enthralling, I can assure you that. We have also been able to bring Dr. Deepak Chopra, who is another very household name and has done very well in the US. Ask anybody in the US about Deepak Chopra, an Indian who has made a total difference to the lives of many people both in India and outside India, including in the United States. We have also been able to get Thich Nhat Hanh, who is one of the leading Buddhist philosophers and was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King. We're also getting somebody from the US who is a leading expert on mental health called Gayatri. She's coming here for about 3 weeks' time and she'll be kind of roaming around and giving talks on mental health. What I'm trying to say is that we are now at a juncture where we have no time. We are at a juncture where we absolutely have lost our connect with the world outside us and the world within us. And the whole idea of putting these things together is as to how do we really try and provide some kind of a connect between something which is within ourselves and something which is outside ourselves. And I think this is the very theme on which Dr. Rick Levy today would be talking to all of you. And I would just like to stop myself by reciting a sloka from Charpat Manjari, which was written way back by one of the Vedanta philosophers called Adi Sankaracharya. And while he was giving discourses on how duality is good and non-duality is not, and vice versa, at one point in time he wrote at one place in Charpat Manjari, which is a very famous treatise written by Adi Sankaracharya, and I would recommend all of you, if you could ever lay your hands onto this particular treatise, which is also available in English translation. And this is a discourse between the mind and the soul. And at one place, Adi Sankaracharya writes, Yaddapi loke mararam saranam, tadapi na munchati papa charanam, bhaj gobindam, bhaj gobindam, bhaj gobindam murmat. All that he says is that we all know that the word is subject to decay. We all know that we all are subject to decay. But what we don't give up is our pap ka acharan, bad conduct. Bad conduct has a very loaded meaning, which means your lifestyle is bad, you are not the right kind of a person, you can't connect outside within your own self. So bad conduct is not that you are totally bad, but it's a fairly heavy loaded meaning which says that range of things which you're not aware about yourself could probably try and create a lot of disconnect for you. So he ends by saying that the only way to reach salvation or moksha, as we call it in Indian tradition, is by remembering the God, the Almighty, and trying to see to it that we become one at some point in time. And I think this is where I'll stop, and I would once again congratulate Amity University, especially Dr. Abha Singh, Savita Mehta, who has been very instrumental in putting everything together, Dr. Rick Levy, who has been very kind to have accepted our invite and made his time available to come and talk to all of you. I would also like to express my gratitude to Lisa, who has been a very senior person in the US administration, worked for both President Clinton and also President Bush, and she also specializes in healthcare facilities and has done a very good work. And I would also like to thank Professor B. Shukla in absentia for giving us this platform to be able to bring Rick Levy, who will very soon be talking to you about how can you as an individual try and connect between mind, body and soul. and live a very healthy life thereafter. Thank you so very much.